All right, you're listening to Spot the Money here on Africa Business Radio. My name is Bimbola Aoyele, and we are going straight into our conversation for the day. I've got with me on the line Deji Faremi of the Busybody Sports Team. Hello, Deji. Good morning.
Good morning, Bimbo.
All right, fantastic. So we're going to go straight into today's conversation, and we will start with the Paris Saint-Germain incident with Istanbul Basaksehir. The Uefa is now going to open an investigation into that incident. Just a bit of a background. The Turkish club Basaksehir had alleged that the fourth official, Sebastian Cortescu, made a racist comment toward assistant coach Pierre Webo, the Cameroonian. And, Jose Mourinho had something to say about that. He suggested that the fourth official should apologize. Do you think, what effect and to what extent do you think an apology will go to, maybe not necessarily fix everything that's wrong with racism in football, but this incident, to just try and appease both sides?
I think, there are a number of things going on here. I think as well that whether he admits it or not, the statement he made...
we seem to have lost that call with Deji. We'll try to get back to Deji Faremi, but just as a bit of a background, let's listen to Jose Mourinho.
The fourth official, only him can express his feelings. Of course, he made an unacceptable mistake, but only him can open his heart, apologize, and accept the consequences. But probably he's also a very good referee. If we make mistakes, we have to accept the responsibilities. But more important than that for me is that game become quite iconic. Champions League game to stop after 15 minutes for a very sad reason will become iconic, and hopefully in the future never happens again.
All right, so that's Jose Mourinho, and we have Deji back with us on the line. Deji, so you were saying?
I was saying, when you look at the statement he made, referring to Pierre Webo by his skin color, or using his skin color to identify him, this is 2020, and I think that's very inappropriate, and I'd say discriminatory, at the least. I think an apology would go a long way. The apology, of course, is coming from a place where a few people who know him. He's been, coaching for so many years. In fact, Bimbo is actually gotten into his final year. That coach, talking about, the referee, more like Sebastian Cortescu, the Romanian fourth official. He's into his final year, approaching 46. We hear that, was even thinking about retiring. A lot of people who know him vouched for him. I think a few people have vouched for him, saying he's not racist. Oh, fine, that's good. But then you can be very ignorant as well without being racist. Like I said, it was a very ignorant statement. There were a lot of ways he could have identified Pierre Webo without having to go to his skin color. Demba, I think, put the question perfectly when he said, when you want to identify a white guy, do you say that white guy? So why are you saying that black guy, trying to identify the black guy? So I think, like I said already, ignorant. The apology maybe helps. What doesn't help, or what didn't help him as well coming to the stage, was the fact that he stuck with his ignorance for a very long while. Yeah. Even after he was corrected, even after a lot of people tried to put him right. So I think that could be a starting point. Let him put in the apology. But I think there's a lot of education, there's a lot of sensitization as well that UEFA should do as far as, the appropriate words to use when it comes to football is concerned. I think there's a lot of learning everyone can do as well.
All right. Now, a BBC report says Nigeria Football Federation is working to avoid another team boycott as it tries to clear an 18-month backlog of bonuses and allowances. According to the report, it describes the NFF as being financially stricken and says the federation is keen to resolve the pay issue, which kind of dates back to 2019 AFCON in Egypt. First off, to what extent do you agree with this report that the NFF is financially stricken?
I think it's very clear. I mean, if you have inside sources, and even beyond that, I think, even the NFF president has come out a few times to say that. So I don't think it's any form of hidden news that the NFF financially and where they should be. A lot of the money they've received have come from sponsors. The NFF president has said that as well a few times. And as far as getting money from the government is concerned, it's not just flowed. It's not as consistent as it should as well. So I think that's a major problem as far as the NFF is concerned. Don't forget, the NFF doesn't just deal with the Super Eagles, so they have to deal with all the age grade teams across the two genders, the male and female football. So I think it's a lot. Of course, it calls brings to the fore once again how we've managed our football or how we've managed sports in this country. As far as government funding is concerned, and even some of the things that we spend money on, a lot of people traveling and all of that stuff. There's a lot of I wouldn't say mismanagement, but better management that could be done or that should be done. If we realize and we admit that financially we are not quite there, then we should start to take measures to get there. And, it's a lot of sacrifice that should be done.
All right. The report also adds that the players had planned to protest last month ahead of their 2020 AFCON away fixture against Sierra Leone. We all know how that game ended. They were leading 4-0 and then, it all went belly up, ending in a 4-4 draw. Do you support another team boycott?
Bimbo, I think this is a very slippery slope because on one hand, these players have been promised this money.
Yeah.
When you promise people money or when you commit to paying people money, then you should pay them that money. On the other hand, of course, it begs the question, should people be paid to represent their country? Should players be paid to represent their country? And you have to be careful, whichever way you want to swing. I think for me, and I've always said this, I don't think, especially if we aren't as financially strong as we should be, I don't think our players should be paid that much money. I don't think, $5,000 for a win, $5,000, pardon me, for a win. I think it's a bit much. I think, that's something we should look at if we don't have as much money as we claim to have. But it's like I said, it's a slippery slope. You have to pay these players what you promised them as well. So yeah, I think I know. I think it has to be resolved ultimately. They have to find a way to resolve it, be it by reducing the money. But when you promise people some money, when you say that if you win a match, you would be paid, then you should pay them.
All right. So moving on now, the Europa League group stage matches ended yesterday. The Champions League matches ended on Wednesday, group stage. Now we know those who are moving on to the next stage of 16 for the Champions League and 32 for the Europa League. So the Europa League will now be welcoming a lot of high-profile Champions League dropouts, including Manchester United, Shakhtar Donetsk, Olympiacos, Ajax, and Dynamo Kiev. Meanwhile, Arsenal and Tottenham Hotspur top their group going into the next round of matches. Let's talk about Arsenal and how well they seem to be doing under Arteta in cup competitions. They won the FA Cup last season, but they are tremendously woeful in the league. Yeah, six out of 6 games in the Europa League they've won. They are still in the League Cup, defeating Liverpool to get to the next stage. What do you think their problem is? Should they approach every match, thinking that it's a cup game, or maybe they should go and play EPL matches wearing the Europa League badge, Yeah,
I don't know. I really don't know, Bimbo. I think it's in the mind. First off, I think it depends. It's a lot about the approach, how they've approached games. I think in the Premier League, Arteta has been a little more cautious. They've tried to hold on to the ball more whenever they had possession. And when they didn't have possession, it's all about, keeping your shape, just trying to keep it tight at the back. However, in the Europa League, there's more freedom. Could be as a result of not respecting those teams as much as they respect the Premier League teams. Could also be as a result of, just knowing that you have a number of chances to get it right. Group stage, everyone plays everyone and all that stuff. I'm not exactly sure. I think it's in the mind, though. I think it's in the approach because, you look at the performance in the Europa League and obviously topping the group, winning all the matches. They scored lots of goals as well. They've been expressive. They've been expansive. But then in the Premier League, they just can't get it right, struggling against teams that they shouldn't even struggle against. I mean, we saw them last weekend in the North London derby, and I thought Tottenham were there for the taking for long periods in that game. But Arsenal couldn't just threaten as much as they should or as much as they could. Hugo Lloris had many saves to make as well. So the approach has to change. Arteta has to free up the players a bit, and it's starting to become a cliche about coaches stifling their players, not letting them free. But that's something Arteta should do, free up the players a bit, and hopefully in the Premier League, they can get it better very soon.
Now, Spurs are also flying high right now. They are doing well both in cup competitions, the Europa League at least for now, and also in the league. To what extent do you think they can keep this up?
I think their focus at the moment is the league. They need to make the top four again. They didn't make it last time. It was a struggle for them, Mourinho's first half season. I think this time around they'll be looking at least making the top four again. For me, it would be a huge achievement, for Spurs if they can make the top four. Getting back in the Champions League is massive for them. This is not really a time, and Mourinho, made mention of that as well, calling them little ponies. I don't think this is a time to start to think about the league title or, starting to push and dream excessively. This is a time to manage expectations and just keep playing a game at a time. They look very good. They look like a side that has progressed a lot from last season. Then again, Bimbo, we've seen this Spurs football club, because I wouldn't say this team, there's been a lot of changes to the team, but we've seen Spurs as a football club, fight for the league once, push Leicester a bit. We've seen them as well in the Champions League final. So I don't think it's particularly strange to the football club to get to the highest level or to get close to the highest level. But however, this time, it's about maintaining and managing your expectations. And not crashing as we saw, after they didn't win the league, in that 2016 season, or after they didn't win the Champions League when they faced Liverpool in the final. So, yeah, I think that's key for them. However good they are, they just have to maintain those expectations and, just take it a game at a time.
Well, we are at that point in the season where usually we'll be, taking bets on who will be the first manager to be sacked. Who do you think it is? I have my, thoughts on, one of the two high-profile candidates that it might be. But do you think?
I don't think we're going to associate getting sacked. I don't think he's getting sacked. Contrary to popular opinion, I don't think they're as terrible as a lot of people have put out there. I think generally as well, United as a football club need to manage expectations. I think, a lot is expected of a club who should really just be trying to get themselves together, more or less. And I think Arteta is under a lot of pressure. Arsenal are very terrible. They are so far away from where they should be, which would be contesting or, trying to fight for the Champions League and Europa League spaces. But then, again, it's similar with Arsenal. If you've brought in a manager, it's just about a year since they came on. You need to give these guys time. You need to give them. It tells a lot about you as an administrator when you bring on a manager, and just 1 year in, you lose total faith in him. So I think both are under pressure. Absolutely, there's no doubt about that. But I wouldn't say they should get sacked yet. The manager I think would get sacked very soon will be Chris Wilder, the Sheffield United boss. I think it's just a matter of time. I'd say, the next 2 games, which is this weekend and midweek, next week, if he cannot get a win in those 2 games, I think anything less than 3 points in 2 games, I think he'll be gone. If he gets 1 point in both games, or no point in both games, I think he'll be gone, Chris Wilder. So yeah, in the Premier League, that would be my pick for first manager to get the boot.
Okay, no takers in La Liga.
Not quite. Not Koeman, not now. Definitely not Zidane. Looks like he's bought himself some time again. Was under so much pressure just about a week ago, but then wins against Sevilla and Mönchengladbach put him in a very good place. They look very good against Mönchengladbach. So I think, definitely not any of those big guys right there at the moment.
All right. That's as much as we can take right now, Deji. Thank you so much for another interesting, piece of analysis.
A huge pleasure, Bimbo. Hope to do this again.
Yeah, regards to other members of the team.
Sure, man.
All right. So that's our time on Spot the Money this Friday morning on Breakfast Connect Africa Business Radio. I am Bimbola Oyele. Keep winning.